The war between President Obama and Senate Republicans over filling Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalias' vacant seat escalating today as Judge Merrick Garland made his first official visit to Capitol Hill. Now, Senate Republicans have refused to meet with the judge and deny confirmation hearings, although some are starting to talk with him on the phone. Last night on Fox News' On the Record, Greta Van Susteren called these types of political games petty and said the nominee should have the opportunity of at least a hearing. Let's bring in Greta Van Susteren. She joins us now. Listen, Greta, thank you for being here. I was watching you not just last night, but a couple of weeks ago after Justice Scalia had passed, and you gave a very impassioned speech at the end of your show where you said, look, after he's died, this petty argument, use the P word again, petty argument is not even worthy of seventh grade schoolyard fights. In fact, that diminishes and insults seventh graders. And I thought, well, let's bring you on, because I think that this is a really interesting fight that Republicans feel very, very passionate about. Do you understand their side here?
Yeah, they say they're doing it because the Democrats did it to them. And the next time around is when the Democrats do it, they're going to say the Republicans did it to them. Look, the Constitution says one thing, doesn't say another thing. One thing, it says the president shall appoint. The president has now done that. It does not say that the Senate shall hold a hearing, but you would think that at least because they've got an obligation to vote on the nomination, that's not a constitutional, but you would expect that they would at some point, is that they would at least have the decency to sort of stop this cycle of because the other guy did it first. The people who are heard on this are the American people. The president has appointed someone, let's have a hearing. And if he's lousy, the Republicans don't like him, they just vote no. But at least we have the process, and at least we have some semblance of order and good manners. But instead we have this petty political game where the Republicans say, well, the Democrats did it last time to us, so we're going to do it to them. You know, it's just rotten. The cycle never breaks. And you would think that for once, one party, at least one of them, would act big and say, look, maybe it's done to us before, but we're going to do the right thing. We're going to hold a hearing. We're probably not going to vote yes for him, but we're going to vote a hearing to see whether or not he's qualified, and then we're going to vote for him. And if they vote him down, no, so be it. But at least it's sort of some sense of order and good manners.
Yeah. You know, Judge Garland has an interesting background. He is known as a centrist. In fact, Orrin Hatch, who's a Republican, even called him a consensus nominee. He fought and successfully the Unabomber case. It's unbelievable what he was able to do with Oklahoma City. He was part of that, and Timothy McVeigh eventually went to his death on that, so he is not soft on crime. How do you see him? I'm sure you're quite familiar as he's part of the D.C. court.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was part of a huge prosecution team, and there are a lot of good prosecutors that were involved in that case.
Sure.
I don't know if he's a good candidate or not, but you know, we're never going to know, Liz, because we're not going to have a hearing. Because the Senate Republicans won't hold that hearing. It may turn out after hearing that hearing that everyone thinks he's great. I don't know. It may turn out that he's rotten. I don't know. But we're never going to get to that point. We don't even get a chance to look at him because the Senate will not hold that hearing. And for the life of me, I don't understand why they want to send this message to the Republican voters out there that they're willing to play the game. Wouldn't you think for once, one side of the political spectrum would like to say, look, we're going to really do the right thing for the American people. We're going to have a hearing. We're going to hold this. We're going to air everything about him, and then we're going to vote. And if they vote no, that they don't think he's any good, so be it. But nobody wants to break this cycle of trying to stop being petty and political in this city, and that hurts the American people.
Well, it really comes down to this election year politics playing right now, and that I begin to wonder, will they regret? It's sort of be careful what you wish for, because, I mean, how do you think the eventual Republican nominee will handle this as a campaign issue? Because most or quite a bit of the issues that come before the Supreme Court these days are social issues, and the country seems to be going slightly more centrist to slightly right.
Well, Senator Ted Cruz is going to fully embrace this because he's one of the leaders to say that he shouldn't be entitled to a hearing, that they should have no hearing, that they should wait for the election. So I know how Senator Ted Cruz is going to handle it. I can't possibly begin to come up with how Donald Trump is going to handle it should he be the nominee. But here's what could happen to the Republicans is that they may find that come November that the elected president is not the Republican nominee, but Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, who may want someone who is a different candidate, and then she will withdraw the name for consideration of Judge Garland, and she would put someone in there who is far more unsuitable to the Republicans, and the Republicans may not own the Senate. Right now, there are 34 seats up in the United States Senate next November, 24 of those Republican. It's a very good chance the Republicans will not own the U.S. Senate come next January. So they may get somebody they really don't like because they're playing this game right now.
Well, exactly. That's the whole be careful what you wish for. And in fact, on one of his issues that he was a justice on, he deferred to the Bush administration on rights of the Gitmo, of the Guantanamo Bay detainees, and that would have been more palatable, I think, to Republicans, and yet they're not taking this guy.
You know, I don't go into this to get that far even in my thinking list because, yeah, I really find it hard to predict the behavior or the decisions of a lot of these justices. I mean, Justice Souter was someone who was completely unpredictable to President Bush 41.
Yeah.
He turned out to be a different justice than he expected. So I don't do that. I just try to sort of hold us to the Constitution and hold us to the process. And I will concede that this Constitution doesn't say you have to have a hearing. It does say that a justice is that the President nominates, shall nominate, and have the advice and consent of the Senate. But what I'm trying to hold us to is some sort of process and try to cut that cycle of the political games. I have no way, even reading all his opinions, I have no way to predict what's even going to come before him. Should he become a justice? And should he become a justice? I don't know what the case is. I can't predict how he will decide. But I'll tell you one thing is that what lawyers always do after the decisions come out is they say, yeah, I thought that would be it.
Greta, great to have you. Thank you so much. Please join us again.